Welcome back to Be My Guest. Joining me on the line from England right now is Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, among his many titles, he's the British Commonwealth heavyweight champion of the world, WBO Intercontinental title holder, Irish heavyweight title holder. Have I listed all of your belts so far, Tyson?
Yep.
That's pretty amazing.
I've won a lot of titles in a short time, but it's been a hard, long road, and finally ready now to take on the world, really.
You're only 24. You've compiled a 20-0 record, 14 knockouts.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with your career? Where do you want to go next with it? There's a variety of fighters, both American, worldwide fighters that you can challenge. You've talked about Vitaly Klitschko, that you want to fight him. Is he the one you want right now, or are you prepared to wait to get to him when your time comes?
No, this is a waiting game. Vitaly knows that he's not going to have an easy fight if he fights me. But the reason being, I have to wait because Chris Arreola and Bermane Stiverne, they are fighting the final eliminator, maybe for the vacant title if Vitaly decides to retire or not. Still waiting on that to be announced. So if they fight for the vacant title, I'm mandatory for the winner.
Okay, so are you looking maybe to fight once before, let's say, because I'd heard somewhere that you may have a fight somewhere in March, possibly in New York?
Yeah, maybe in March, mid-March to end of March. Not New York now, because it's been booked out in previous time, but maybe in Atlantic City or Connecticut.
And do you know who it's going to be?
Well, we're still waiting on opponents, Getting me an opponent is quite hard work.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a list of opponents named to us, one of them being Michael Grant, another one being Steve Cunningham. I think who else was there? There was a few guys on there, so we're just going to pick one out of them and get it on over there.
Good. I read somewhere, I guess maybe it was your uncle that put it out there, there's a possibility you may be in the British version of Big Brother reality series.
Yeah, I was supposed to go in it before, but I've got fighting to think about, Boxing's my first career, and suppose when I'm retired or something, then maybe I could go on a show like that. But at the moment, not really interested. I'm a fighter, and I've got to live like a fighter, not a celebrity.
Yeah, you're talking about fighting, where, in your opinion, right now is the heavyweight division? And people look at boxing, they say, maybe boxing doesn't have the allure it used to have from a public point of view, and then other people will say, if there's strength in the heavyweight division, that will be enough to get boxing back to where it used to be.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, and the strength is right here. You're talking to him on the line. I can guarantee you that I'm taking over the heavyweight division. I'm bringing back glory. I'm bringing back glamour. I'm bringing all back to the heavyweight division. The world's crying out for a talented heavyweight who can talk the talk and walk the walk as well. And I can do both of them things. And there's one thing I know how to do is excite. So here we are, live from on Canadian radio station.
Canadian radio station, and yet you've just pointed out something right now, and this is what people have told me about. You like to talk, you're very entertaining, you're a very proud man. What is the difference between being a guy who can talk and bring it and a guy who can talk and can't bring it? And if it comes to your point in time, how do you know that you'll be able to do both?
I've proved 20 times I can do both. And, I can talk the talk. I can definitely fight. I can fight 100 different styles. Fighting's the easy part for me. Just getting these guys in the ring and actually taking a fight, a meaningful fight. That's worth fighting, At the minute, I'm ranked number 3 or 4 by the WBC, and I'm in line for a title shot. So I just need to keep busy fighting between, because I need to fight this year before a title shot or whatever, before a major fight. So, it's just a matter of getting out there, taking over, showing the US fans and things what it's about and what Tyson Fury is about. So I hope to get me an aggressive puncher who can come forward and have a fight, because my last fight, I was fighting Kevin Johnson, who was more of an evasive fighter, done more technical. It was a chess match rather than a battle. So I'm not looking to have another chess match in my next fight.
If you had the chance to fight Vitaly Klitschko, where would you want it to be? And the reason I'm asking, are you looking at possibly maybe Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world, or would it be wherever he wanted it to be, you'd go?
To be honest with you, the Klitschkos don't really like fighting out of Germany. So probably it's going to be over there. But, it doesn't really matter where we fight, because I'd fight Vitaly Klitschko in his back garden if he wants it there. If he wants it in New York, England, Australia, America, anywhere he wants it, he can have it, But it's just a matter of getting him in there and fighting. I don't just want to fight Vitaly because he's old and he's got on the slide. It's the fact that Vladimir, we've been offered to fight to Vladimir. My manager's been on the phone to his manager, Bernard Bont, and they're just fucking around with it all. They're not taking it. He's fighting Povetkin next, and then maybe I can get a shot after that. But I'm just waiting. I've just got to wait. This is the waiting game. You've got this other big clown over in England, David Price, shouting his mouth off saying, I want to fight. But of course he wants to fight because I'm number 3 by the WBC. Where's he? He's got 3 or 4 fights before he's at my level against world-class opposition. And his manager knows that if he gets beaten that meanwhile, fighting these world-class fighters, then his big paydays are gone. So obviously he wants to fight.
One thing I'm going to ask you about is, you're 6'9". You obviously got the height, you got the reach. When you fight somebody of your size, or fight a lot of guys just aren't that big. How do you fight? Because I think of like a guy like Joe Frazier. When he fought, he was smaller than Muhammad Ali, so he had to get in close and fight like that. What advantages or disadvantages do you have because of your size?
Obviously I have a long reach, so my advantage would be to keep them at bay, keep them at reach with the arms. But if they get inside, then it's my game as well, because I don't know if you saw the fight with Derek Chisora. I beat him on the inside. The fight wasn't won at long distance, it was won on the inside. And I've got the styles, I can fight inside or long. It doesn't really matter to me. As long as we have a good game plan and we've trained properly, then it just shouldn't be a problem if I fight someone 5'7" or 20'4". Mm-hmm. Really matter.
A lot of people maybe don't know that you've got your first name Tyson's from Mike Tyson. Have you ever had a chance to talk to Mike Tyson?
To be honest with you, I had a couple of opportunities to, when he came over on tour to the UK last year, I had the opportunity to go on tour with him, like Tyson and Tyson on the table and whatever, past and present. But I'd already booked a holiday to go over to the south of France, and I went there instead. So I've actually not spoken to Mike Tyson, but I really would love to.
In terms of fighters, history of fighting, who did you look up to, or who would have been an idol of yours?
To be honest with you, I don't have idols. God is my idol. That is it. I don't have idols in people or anything, objects or anything like that. But I suppose growing up, I always watched boxing. I watched the old-fashioned tapes and stuff, all the way back to 100 years and stuff like that. So I used to like Larry Holmes, watching him box, watching his jab. Obviously Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, all these guys I grew up watching them. So it's hard to pick just one. Sugar Ray Leonard, good fighter.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the tweet that you had the other day, because it did cause a lot of interest both in the MMA world, certainly in the boxing world, when you challenged Cain Velasquez, the UFC heavyweight champion, to a fight. You said you challenged him to a fight in a cage or a ring. It could be billed as the man versus the midget. Let's work to get it on. What made you want to reach out and make that type of tweet?
Because I'm sick of being on top of my game, being ready. And, the champions, so-called champions, don't want to fight. I've offered Vladimir Klitschko the fight 5 times. I've offered Alexander Povetkin the fight 20 times. We've been on the phone to Vitaly 100 times. These champions don't want to fight. So how do people expect top fighters to fight each other if the champions don't want to risk fighting a young up-and-coming heavyweight who's 20-0? So I thought to myself, Cain Velasquez sounds like a brave guy, and watched him fight. He's a good fighter and he's game when he comes for a fight. So I thought maybe he'd take up a challenge and fight Tyson Fury, but it was all wrong. Nobody seems to want to fight Tyson Fury. So what can you do?
Yeah,
I don't blame him though, because definitely they get their ass kicked.
Yeah, his reaction was that he's a boxer, not an MMA fighter. If you wanted to fight him, then you should get into the MMA and work your way up. And he also said, right off the top, he didn't know who you were. So were you aware of his reaction to basically your tweet?
I couldn't care less what his reactions were to my tweet. I'm sure everybody knows who Tyson Fury is, especially Cain Velasquez, who's in a contact sport as well. I think they just like to try and pretend they don't know people, so it makes them sound more official or something, I don't know. But if he does decide to grow a pair of balls and get it on, then we can get it on. Maybe in a ring or in a cage or whatever he wants, you know. People say that boxers can't live it with MMA fighters, but I disagree. Because Ray Mercer knocked out Tom Sylvia, former heavyweight champion in the UFC, against a former heavyweight champion of boxing.
That was the Ray Mercer you're talking about.
Yeah, Ray Mercer knocked out Tim Sylvia.
And there was also Randy Couture against James Toney. We were aware of what happened in that fight.
Yeah, I was aware of what happened in that fight. But James Toney, he's obviously he's a legend, James Toney. But he carries on too long, you know what I mean? He's been calling everybody out, really. He's a joke. He's making a joke of himself, James Toney. He's going to ruin his legacy if he doesn't retire soon, you know. He wants to fight all these young guys coming up and whatever. And he's old, you know. He's a blown-up middleweight to heavyweight. And I think if he stays around, he's going to get hurt. But back onto the Randy Couture thing, it's just one of them things, isn't it? Tony talked a good game and didn't go in there and provide a good game. Just got tucked down and it was game over, wasn't it, in a few seconds?
Yeah. Have you ever thought of the possibility of taking your ring skills and you know, changing careers or maybe going into MMA, if not, you know, now or maybe some point in your future?
Yeah, you know, I train in Holland most of the year. I'm in Holland now, and there's a lot of good kick fighters over here and things like that. You know, you've got Sammy Shields over here, you've got Daniel Geeta, Rico Van Hoven, Saki. You've got loads of K1 fighters and Glory fighters. So I'm sure I do pick it up, you know, over here while I'm here, and it is intriguing to me to want to do it, to either have a kickboxing fight or an MMA fight or whatever. But you know, it takes time, doesn't it? You can't just rush in and make a decision on my boxing career because nobody wants a fight. So I can't just switch over to another game. But you know, yeah, I'm sure if it was all right and it was a good idea to do, then it wouldn't be a problem for me. But if I could get a big fight in MMA, then obviously I'd take it, because I'm not bothered who they are or what they can do or how big or small they are. If they want to fight, they can fight, but it's just around getting it on, isn't it?
Yeah. Why do you think MMA has grown in popularity, and boxing, which was the sport 30s, 40s, 50s for the longest time, boxing's taken a back seat to MMA, and I said to you right at the start that people believe if the heavyweight division was strong, that boxing would reclaim its glory. So why do you think, A, boxing maybe has lost its glory, and B, mixed martial arts has grown?
You know, mixed martial arts has grown. It's because it's a newish thing. You know what I mean? Like UFC fighting, it's all like it's a new thing to the public. But I don't think it's going to take over boxing, never, because it's not something that a family could watch, is it? Like you'd maybe a family could watch like a boxing contest, but they wouldn't want the kids watching two men rolling up and down the floor, punching each other to pieces on the floor and grabbing each other and whatever, you know. Kids don't want to see that sort of thing, but they would watch a boxing match, and that's the appeal. Well, I don't think it's going to take over boxing. But like you say, it's getting very big now in the US and Canada, and it'll never take over in the UK because there's not enough big fighters over here. But you know, I don't know what it's like over there in Canada and America. What is it like for the MMA boxing over there?
It's huge. I mean, it is big, but they're trying to grow it globally. And I just mentioned to you off air about Michael Bisping, who's a Brit, and he's going to be fighting in a fairly big fight this Saturday in Brazil. And if he wins that, he's going to have a chance to fight Anderson Silva, who's the UFC middleweight champion. He's been the middleweight champion for a long, long time. I just asked you a bit about Michael Bisping. Maybe you can repeat what you said about him, because Michael Bisping is known as a very cocky Brit. What do you know about him, and maybe just give your opinion about him?
To be honest with you, I don't know much about him, but I think he's a first-class prick, really. I think he's a wanker. He goes down with a chip on his shoulder like he's some big man, but he's not. He's a middleweight. You know, little men can't mess around when there's big men involved. And I just think he needs to show some people respect, you know what I mean, and be a man. But good luck to him in his fight. But I don't think if he gets past this one, he'll definitely not beat Anderson Silva. He talks a good fight, but really when he gets in there, his bottle goes. Are you knowing that just by comments you've read about in the newspaper? Have you actually talked to him or seen interviews with him? That's the impression that you've got? You know, He just he used to. Let me tell you about Michael Bisping. Yeah,
Go ahead.
Michael Bisping maybe 4 or 5 years ago was the golden boy of MMA for the UK. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The last 3 or 4 years, he's been dead. Like there's nothing been heard of Michael Bisping. Not in the press, not on the TV, nothing. So now he's trying to build up his name again and get us some big fights or whatever. But recently I challenged that Cain Velasquez, and he had something to say about it, which I didn't really like, just to get some publicity for himself off of my name, you know. Because, like I said, he's nobody now in the UK. Nobody's even... Everyone's forgot about Michael Bisping, so the best thing he could have done was talk about Tyson Fury to make some papers.
Can you say what he said?
He just said that Cain Velasquez would beat me up severely, and I should stick to boxing, not come into MMA fighting, because an MMA fighter will always beat a boxer.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was going to ask you about. People say because if it did get to on the ground, that's where the MMA fighter would have the advantage over the boxer.
Yeah, well, obviously, if it goes to the ground, then the MMA fighter's going to have the advantage, because a boxer's trained in stand-up fighting. He's not trained in wrestling up and down the floor. So obviously, an MMA fighter's going to have the upper hand. But, you know, it's about catching them on the way in, because they don't have the best stand-up skill in the world. They're just to try and take a few punches on the way in to grab your legs or something, you know. And you can't take punches off a highly skilled athlete as a boxer, because you're just going to get your face took off. And, you know, the MMA fighters they're not proper stand-up fighters. They like to they throw, like, bottom of the fist punches and stuff like that. Some of them throw proper punches, but it's mostly arm punches and things like that, which wouldn't do proper damage to a man of my size.
Mm-hmm. So again, we go back to what we talked about at the start. You're 24 years old, 20-0, 14 knockouts. You're looking eventually to fight Vitaly Klitschko. You've made the offers to fight him. You haven't gotten it so far. You've got a fight coming up in March. You're not sure at this point who it's going to be. Do you believe at some point this year you'll have a chance to fight for a heavyweight title against maybe a guy like Vitaly Klitschko?
100%. I'm definitely going to get a title shot in 2013. It's just a matter of waiting, like I said before, and seeing what goes on, because it could be sooner rather than later, because we're just waiting to see what Vitaly's going to do, if he's going to retire, if he's going to carry on boxing. And it's an exciting time for me, you know. There's a lot of big fights out there. They just need to be made. Like I say, the heavyweight champions of the world, they don't want to fight me. And the other guys, the contenders, like Thomas Adamek and Denis Boytsov, all these top-ranked fighters, Kubrat Pulev, they don't seem to want to fight Eddie Chambers. Any of these guys, they won't fight me. And they've been offered to fight 20 times. We tried, last year we tried all of them fighters, most of the top 10 in America, to try and get a fight with them. And there was no takers, because nobody seems to want to risk anything. It's all like everyone wants to fight bums. And I think this is why the heavyweight division is going down and boxing's going down, because top fighters are avoiding each other in order to sit the time and get another title shot, what they've already had. But years ago, like in the days of Ken Norton, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Jimmy Young, Jimmy Ellis, all these guys fight each other.
That was, again, I was very big on the fighting then back in the 70s, and you're mentioning the heavyweight division was strong. There was a variety of guys that used to fight one another, and it was exciting. I wonder, and I've asked some of my friends who are really into boxing, can boxing ever recover that luster like it did, specifically during that period, or will boxing be around forever and it'll have some good fights here and there, but it just won't be able to recapture that glory?
You know, times have moved on since the 70s and the 60s and all them times. I think there's going to be some great fights in the future and whatever, you know, people make. But like you say, the times have moved on and people want different things. You know, they're going on to different things. And I think the internet and all these websites and things, I think that fucked a lot of things up, because years ago there wasn't any of that, and people, if they wanted to watch a fight, they'd either watch it on TV or go to the venue, and they couldn't talk about it before or whatever online or whatever. And I think a lot of it's got to do with the new times moving forward. But it's one of them things, innit? I think you just need a good young heavyweight who's going to light up the division. not just a heavyweight. We need some young, fresh fighters. You know, everyone's sick of the same fighters. The Manny Pacquiao's, the Floyd Mayweathers. All these guys are getting on now. They're not fighting each other, and you know, it's giving boxing a bad name because these guys they're supposed to be the top fellas in the world and all that, which they are, and they never fight each other.
Did you see the Pacquiao Marquez fight? Were you surprised by the outcome? And you know, to see those two guys possibly fight for a fifth time, do you think it's good for boxing?
You know, they fought how many times they fought, 5 times, and I've watched quite a few of them, and I believe that Marquez has won the majority of them, you know. And it was just a matter of time before he did catch Pacquiao and take him out, because he knows in his own brain that he's not going to get a points decision like he hasn't in the past 4 or whatever he's had. He's got a draw and a win and losses and all that type of thing. You know, so he needed the knockout, and he got it, you know. So I think it is good for boxing because Marquez is just a true warrior. He fights anybody, and he gets his job done, doesn't he? He fights all the elite fighters, and he gets the job done.
Yeah. You know, Tyson, I want to thank you for your time today. I should also thank your promotion company, Hennessy, that were kind enough to set up this interview for me. Best of luck.
No problem.
Best of luck in your career going forward. I hope you get the fights that you want, and if you ever end up in the MMA, good luck to you then too.
Okay, thank you very much. Take it easy. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye.